Hello, hello, hello. We've got some volume. We're live. Yes, we've only reached Britain's Hidden History live number 81. Take it away, Aunt. Not quite as slick as we planned it. Right. Evening all. Elliot Finn, first on. Andrew Whelan. Come all ye faithful, yes. Very good. Must have Come all ye faithful next. And then we got Tog, us with Gwyn just down the Bogey Road. Hello, evening all. Marshall, Ho Hugh. Hello, Adam from Essex. Good to hear you, Adam. Everyone's welcome. Hello, Zoe Spencer. People all over the world. Wonderful. Right, tons of stuff again tonight. I am a bit bunged up though. Thank you, Arnie B. We have to have a Come On Ye Faithful later as well, apparently. Yeah, can you remember that one?
I can do that.
You can remember that one. Hello, Tommy Rogers. Right, loads of people online, ready to go. Excellent. First time here because it's growing. You're very, very welcome. Sunday evening. Try and keep it light. There's a lot of serious issues, even though it's Christmas. We try and keep it family friendly, so no nasty stuff in the messages. Nothing aggressive, Let's keep it nice, peaceful. On a Sunday evening, everyone loves Arnie. Good play on. When he's not bashing people up as a prop, he's being a very nice boy. And then what we find is the history, to put it in a nutshell, the history we taught in schools, a lot of it's made up. And even more importantly, there's an awful lot of history which we're never taught. Okay? So, hi from Brad Campbell as well. Hello, 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 hello. Just get a quick idea. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad to see them. We'll try to keep things very normal here. Try and keep the politics out of it, although sometimes it is impossible, unfortunately. Right, now, really, really pleased to see how everyone's reacted to the videos about Lawrence, or aka Delvel from his previous incarnation. He's the Druid I went to see last week. He's absolutely fantastic. There's loads more wisdom, interesting stories from him, so please look out for those. And the new format, the 5-minute one, seems to be pretty going out well. People like the short ones. You can just nip them into your busy day. So it works out really well with the Lawrence interviews, because that's the way he talks, really. You got like a 5-minute story, and another 5-minute story, and then we'll go back to what we're there for, which in this case was working out exactly where the Battle of Camlan was with King Arthur. Hello Legolas. Hey, good to see Lego on. Excellent. So where that was, and he was showing me the places with some dowsing, try and confirm some of the places. You'll see us dowsing the lays, which is just amazing, the energy lines. I even got one where I'm new to all this, and it's, rather than if you imagine the two rods, the dowsing, just crossing over, they cross like that to form a line, and the line was directly along the lay line, of the lay. Some people call it lines, some people get really upset when you call them lines. Seems to be words are important in these things. So that was great. So there's loads more, and I'll try to talk a little bit about Camlan, because he has well, I'm going to say a little bit now, actually. Let's jump in. I'm going to ramble around a bit today, because I don't know how long I'll be able to go for. This blinking blocked up nose. Those who've been following the pros since the beginning will know I tend to get this about this time of year. It's almost like hay fever, but the winter version. It's weird. So I think I've reacted to something. Snow fever, there we go. So we haven't had any snow. So hopefully this will spoil everything. We've got loads to show tonight. Yeah, what was interesting about his view on Camlan, and hopefully you might have seen the video which went up earlier today, was that he sees very much as Arthur as the bad guy. Well, more as a puppet, actually, which is a really different way of looking at the mighty King Arthur. And, it's quite funny. Got concurrent viewers 66 and chat rate 6. I love it when that happens. Playback's 96. We just go 666, upside down, 66. On the screen here, right? There we go. It's good to have so many people on board. I just caught my eye all over a 6 here. So I'm like, don't worry about things like that. Right, so yes, the real bad guy, he sees the whole war of that period as a battle between the old, he wouldn't even call it Christian, which was interesting to me, because I think there's 3 religions at play here, and Delve only talks about 2. I am going to go and see him again soon and talk more in depth about these things. And also, like I said before, we're going to go up some hills, do some hill dreaming, and try all that out. Because, hey, I'm now open to anything. After being Mr. Square, I'm learning this. All these different things seem to have a lot to them. But so the first videos, when I get a guest on, I've got a couple of new guests coming up in the next week or two, which would be great. Just to explain, my view is always to let them present their argument as best as possible. I don't try and trip them up. I don't try and, argue or anything like that. Just get their view as well as possible. And then we can have a follow-up, we can have a discussion, and then I can come back with other thoughts and other questions. And usually these people have things well thought through, and they can answer those, and we progress in a constructive manner. Okay, so that's the... Excuse me. So I'll just show a slight difference, though, in this one between the 2 and the 3, okay? Now, with for example, Wilson and Blackett's work and the book that recently came out, Jesus... where Jesus is buried, my brain's going to be struggling tonight, is that you have early Christianity beginning in South Wales, about 36, 37 AD, so almost immediately after crucifixion, the first Christian country in the world. And my understanding from that then was that when the Anglo-Saxons arrived, or not them specifically, they were here earlier, but when Augustine turned up 597 to convert the Angles and Saxons and to get them to fight against the British to convert them, it was to suppress this early form of British Christianity. Whereas Derville, Lawrence, I like calling him Derville, I love that name. I think that's also the name that Bernard Cornwell used in his Arthur trilogy for his main character. A book I used to love. I made personal contact with Bernard Cornwell as well. We both lived in Boston and stuff, but that's another story. But I find it very difficult to read that book now, because once you know about the historical Arthur, you realise how many liberties he's taken. Although it's a great book, he's a great writer, and Sharp is probably my favourite historical character. Yeah, we got some things here about if Prince Charles knows Arthur died at Camlan, and the Druid dreamed it too, then how could Arthur have died in America? Well, this is a big contradiction. I don't see how we can really square that circle, so that's going to be one we have to discuss. Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to look at next time I see him. Because clearly, if you haven't followed it, Delville was very unequivocal that Arthur died at Camlan, which is the famous last battle fought by the historical King Arthur. So this is the Arthur, the son of Myrig, son of Tudrig. I'm allergic to the Christmas tree. Maybe that's what it is. Oh my goodness, I'm allergic to Christmas. Yeah, actually, it's about this time every year. I think it might be the scented stuff. But anyway, we'll get on to that now.
You're allergic to Christmas, you'll have to leave.
Yeah, well, I can't cancel Christmas. I'll be the Grinch. The new Grinch. So but what Derville is saying is that in North West Wales particularly, we have the old goddess worship. We call it God, the goddess, and his claim is that that's the same goddess as the Irish refer to as Maeve or Mauve, M-A-U-V-E, Maeve, and it's the same goddess. And the battle that he set up is that you have the people coming up from... sorry, let's go back a bit. Illtyd is not defending British Church. He is coming in as part of the Roman Catholic message, Roman Church message. And that's what he's there for, and he's pushing that through. And he uses... Yes, this is the legendary Arthur. Sorry, I should explain a little bit. Sorry, I forget. We've got new people all the time. When I say legendary, there's historical Arthurs. There's actually 5 of them, at least, in the British royal family. So what do you have? Wilson and Blackett's work. You got the first Arthur, who's around at the end of the 4th century, and fighting the Romans. So I've got this one Superman who lived for 200 years, okay? He was fighting against the Romans and was part of the British invasion of Gaul in the 380s. They went all the way down through Europe and ended up in Greece, and he gets referred to as King of Greece as well. The second Arthur, the one who gives rise to most of the legends, round tables, questing knights, all that kind of stuff, he's 6th century, and he's a British king who's based in South Wales. The other one is based in sort of Warwickshire area. This one is based in South Wales, extremely well recorded. Any history books you get before about 1700, you'll see him all over it. His father was King Byrig, who's well known, we know all about him. His grandfather was Tudrig, we know all about him. The whole family can be traced, and it should be beyond doubt, but hey, that's what happens to British history. That's why we have Britain's history and Welsh history. So the flip around here is that Delville says he's marching north, and Illtyd provoked them into what was effectively a civil war. And this is where the nephew Mawdredd or Mordred comes into it. And up the top then, we've got Maelgwn of Gwynedd is who he sees as the real hero defending the old faith. And another one, it's really, I'm not sure if it's in the video that's just gone up or the next one, is that he then accuses Arthur of being the one using lots of Saxon mercenaries, foreigners to fight against his own people, if you like, as opposed to the other story, which is that Mawdredd had used lots of mercenaries. So we sort of see this sort of north v south, two tellings of the same story, perhaps. So it's a little bit confusing. But the Druid, if you haven't seen him, because Lawrence, his previous incarnation, he sees himself as Delville, who was one of the generals of Maelgwn, defending Gwynedd against this army which Arthur has been beguiled or pushed into fighting a war in North Wales by Illtyd, who's the snake charmer, who's trying to change all over. So there you go. So that's a lot more coming on those. We're together all day. No, I haven't moved yet. No, thanks, Graham, for the reminder. Just too busy doing this every day. How can I move? How can we decorate? How can we do anything in the garden? This is just all absorbing, all encompassing. Right, so is there a mystery around the death of Urien Reged, who stood in for Arthur when he was away? I thought Urien was an earlier generation. I'm not quite sure that ties in. Perhaps someone can write a bit more about that, PG. Right, yes, that's the situation we got there. And I want to do a little bit of background. I was there all day. Hello, Amelia. Good to see you join us. As we did talk all day, we was particularly keen to talk about football. So we talked a lot about late 60s, early 70s. This is a niche subject, all right? I was quite pleased with myself. Is late 60s and sort of early to mid 70s football, particularly Northern Irish football. He's got Northern Irish roots, although he's from Swindon. I think it's Swindon or Oxford. And we talked a lot about Linfield, Glentorian, because by a bizarre chain of events, I ended up going to Windsor Park during the Troubles, as it's called, with the soldiers and tanks outside and flags being burnt in effigies. I tell you, man. I've been in quite a few derby matches. I quite like them. I've been at Fenerbahce and Southampton and London derbies and all sorts. Nothing like that. Anyway, so it's great. So a lot of it was get to know each other and talking about also publishing a lot of his work. A lot of his work, which has been sitting there, needs to get back out into public domain. I will be helping him with that as well. So there's loads of stuff. I've got about an hour and a half talking about. We're supposed to be talking just about Camlan. So the Camlan story's there. Like I said, the 5-minute ones are useful, because what I'll have to do otherwise is get all the bits to do with Camlan, take out all the other bits, squash them up to try and make a cohesive story. I mean, I'm not criticising him, by the way, because what would happen is we're walking, a lot of walking around the different areas, and if you're a particular spot, then you have to explain, like, for example, this is where this happened with the battle. This is also the scene of some of the legendary stuff and the Mabinogi, where you've got the sacred river, Llinvi, sorry, not Llinvi, the Dovey is the sacred river, is the birthing canal and how that ties in with the earth goddess. So the kind of two main themes going, and then just gems thrown in. Okay, so look out for those. Yeah, so Arthur would have been from about 503 to about 597, something like that. Seems the way it is. Or 579, sorry, I think I'm getting an extra 20 years there. Right, okay. Let's dive in. Let's do some fun stuff. I'll try and get my energy levels up. Oh, you've got a blocked nose as well on?
Yeah.
Oh no, he's got tissues up his nose as well. Oh, poor thing. Right, so here we go. I'm trying onto the Babylonian stuff. I'll try and whiz through now. I haven't really set it all up properly. Let's hope it works. Oh yeah, first of all, hello and thank you to Sienna and Zena. We've got this wonderful Sacred Spirit and Wellness Centre, because I went up to Aberdare, gosh, seems like years ago, last Monday I think it was, to see Benny for a bit of lunch. Thank you very much, and thank you to Matthew, who actually paid for lunch. Hey, in the wonderful Morgan's Fish Bar in Aberdare, with Holly and all those there. So well done, looking after me so well. And I went into this shop, which is absolutely fantastic. And I told them it's going to be on the show, and we were in there looking for dowsing rods, because I want to do more dowsing. And it's so nice in there. Hopefully you're going to get the dowsing rods in, and they're going to get a rush of customers. So if you're in Aberdare, go in there and say hello. They've also, something else I've got is they're going to try the pendant for doing a bit of pendulum thing, and there's a few other bits and pieces, alright? It's a fabulous shop, so go and pay them a visit. Okay, oh yeah, yesterday there was, I should have advertised this, I'm going to mention what's happening on Wednesday. Yesterday at Taftswell Community Centre, they were doing a thing there, it's about this, what's it called? Oh gosh, the Trust, Universal Trust. It's a way of looking at different types of government and stuff, which I'm not going to here. But it's Danielle and Lloyd again, the ones who the health shop, are organising that along with a load of other people. We had a stand there, put some books out, sold some of those. So thank you very much. Nice to meet Nathan, nice to meet Alison. So thanks to everyone who came along and those bought books. Now Wednesday evening, I am going to be there again doing a talk about the Where Jesus is Buried book. So that's Wednesday evening, about 7 o'clock, Taftswell Community Centre. Alright. Now if you're looking for Christmas presents, not only have you got that wonderful Sacred Spirit place in Aberdare, try the, I'll do a shameless plug now. It's not quite shameless because I want to show, for the last few weeks I promised to show the Ghost board. Right, so if you look on here, hang on, just scroll ahead of me. If you go to this one, hang on a second, let's just, let's go to that, I should have that page already open. So I want to show you something new on there. Come on. Yep, here we are. Whoop. Hopefully you can see that. Right, okay, so there's loads of stuff which you might want to give people Christmas presents. Last chance, really, I think, before Christmas. I just wanted to add my popular demand. When we did the prayer, the Druid prayer, the Universal Druid prayer. So you can now get that on a t-shirt. Looks rather nice. And on a mug, a pillow, and that kind of thing. So we do it, all helps the cause, and it'd be nice things to have, and a towel. What better thing in the middle of December than a beach towel? That's really what you want, isn't it? That's what everyone wants, in the middle of December. Alright, oh my goodness, why am I blocking up so badly? I hope you can hear me okay. I feel like I'm talking through one of those snorkel sets you get. Right, let's crack on. Right, okay, I do have to do an update on the wind turbines. Now, I was going to sing the new song, so hang on a second. Bear with me. I can't sing like this, but I have got it recorded. Arnie, quick.
Arnie, quick what?
Arnie, quick watch. I don't know. Now I'm going to find the... don't just tap the keyboard. Don't tap the keyboard. Right, hang on a second. Right, desktop. Hang on. I should have this ready. I'll just play you the song, because people are working on it now, okay? But I want to give you the latest copy of the words. I think it's really hot in here as well. Right, so have a quick listen to this. I put some more words to the wind farm song. Let's get it right. Yes, here we go.
Don't it always seem to go? If you don't know what you got till it's gone. Destroy paradise, build it with wind turbines. We're a new type of factory, blight on the whole nation. With 1 million tons of concrete and a whole load of power stations. Don't it always seem to go? But you don't know what you got till it's gone. Destroy paradise, fill it with wind turbines. Took all the stones, put them in a stone museum. And they made damn sure that the people would never get to see them. Don't it always seem got till it's gone. Destroy paradise, build it to wind turbine. Hey, greedy corporates, put away your JCBs. You've heard us enough, it's time to save the birds of bees. Please, push, 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 the birds all die. Push, 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 the bees all die. Destroy paradise, build it to wind turbine. Late one night when you hear the turbines drone, 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 drone. It'll be too late then, and no point in having them more.
Hey, there you go. So it's getting a bit more punchy, the words now. So we got a couple of people working on that, so that's good. We just got to put the tracks on top of each other, got some graphics, make a video. And yes, Gary Taylor, I do apologise. You and Daz, I keep promising to send you some artwork. I must do that straight after the show. Straight after the show this evening, okay? So, right, so this is the document I've been asking everyone to have a look at. This is called Wales Vision 2040. If you search for that on the internet, you will find it, okay? I think hardly anyone knows about it. I'm spreading the word. And what it'll show you is that all of Wales, and there's going to be a similar vision document for England and Scotland, so please have a look. The next 20 years, Wales alone is going to be an average of at least 7,500 new homes built every year. So the population's doing this. I don't know, people aren't having babies, so I don't know what's happening. So the population's going to be massively exploding. All the uplands, hilltops, that kind of stuff, are going to be covered in either turbines or wind farms or the tree farms. So everything's just a resource. Wales is just being used as a resource again. It's like Rape of the Fair Country Part 2, as I call it. Now, one thing, there's a lot of words there, sorry about that, but it is important, right? Last serious bit for a bit, I'll do the good bud, is Bob Morgan's worked in this for decades, all right? He understands how it all works. Now, the point we get to here, there's a bit of blurb. So he's explaining, he got these access roads. Another thing which people don't think about when they consider the harm that these turbines do, these wind factories, all right? So they have to, he's looking at the maps and everything, and we're looking at about 2,000 metres of 8-metre wide road. So 2,000 by 8, that's 160,000. Whoop, get it right, Ross, don't exaggerate. 16,000 square metres. 16,000 square metres. Right there, okay? So if you do that in feet, that's 24. That becomes a 6. 624s is 144. 144, that number again. 144,000 square feet of stone-tracked area. 144,000 square feet. Wow. And they get stones and they ram it hard and make this solid path. And when the turbines no longer work in 20 years' time, the roads just stay, okay? So they're going to do extra access tracks. Now, the worrying thing here is where they're going to get the stone from. Because they need a lot. Oh, he's worked it all out for me. There we go. So he's worked out with the depth of them as well. Yeah, exactly how much you need. So we're looking at 10,000 tonnes there. And then you look how many journeys this is based on the capacities of the trucks. It's all very thorough stuff. It's very good. So we're looking at, if they use the big, little trucks, about 630, well over 1,000 vehicle movements. And by the time they mess about and do things, they're probably about 1,500. So again, it's huge numbers. And what's crucial is because people can be so upset by these trucks going back and forth and everything. What I suggest, by the way, rather than try and read it all now, so you can come back and pause it and have a look. Check how many minutes into the show we are, and then you can have a look later, okay? So what they usually do, right, I'll just read this last bit. To reduce vehicle movements and disruptions to the local traffic network, it is normal practice for wind farm developers to source their stone by opening up a new quarry within their red line site. So this means up on their plans, marked out in red, somewhere up on St. Gaelic Common will be a new quarry. This is just important for Pantigessig, where they've already got the quarry lined up. Planning permission has been refused for that quarry, and this is going to be their way of reopening it. Seems pretty certain. So this makes good financial sense for the developer. It saves having to purchase the stone and considerably reduces the cost of transporting it to and from the access tracks, because it's much easier if the stone's right more or less on site. So it may be prudent. We should ask Brute, I call them Brute Project from now on, Brute Project Manager, if they're going to open up a new quarry within their site. My guess is they won't answer until after what they call the design freeze, but we'll try it. And don't forget, I keep putting go back to last week's for their full addresses and emails. I'll put it on this one again when I get a chance to update the description. Loads of people send letters and emails, alright? Lots of people are. We need lots more. We've got to make it realise it's not going to be just an easy run-in for them, okay? So the problem is, if they're going to start using local stones and quarrying, then not only are the historic sites' stones going to be dug up, moved, or difficult to access, they might actually get smashed up to be used as ballast for the roads. Yeah, it's quite shocking, isn't it? Heartbreaker. There we go. So David Mosley, thank you for this. He sent a couple of pictures of what's happened up on Caer Caradoc. If you don't know Caer Caradoc or Caer Caradoc, this is in many ways, it's like our Valley of the Kings. It's where the old British kings used to be buried. There are a few places. There's 2 other spots where the really ancient kings are buried, 1,500 BC. This is more the sort of leading up to 0, if you like, and then up to 500s. So the golden era of British history is up there, and it's full of tumuli. And this is the project that Bob Morgan actually worked on as a project manager. And you can see the devastation being caused, particularly to the mounds. And he noticed that one of the roads is going straight through a potentially important burial mound. And he proposed they divert the road to avoid it. And they refused, because it required more planning permission, would cost them X number of days delay. And that was it. So Bob left the job he'd done all his life. So there you go. Right, so anyway, so you can see the pictures in a second. 2 aerial images looking at the current wind turbine station up on Mount the Gaia. In the first image, we're looking from west to east. Alright, I better show these pictures, don't I? So the important things to remember are the red circles are known tumuli, and the yellow circles are potential tumuli or lost mounds. Okay. And what you'll see, as David says here, or David, the disregard for the history is self-evident. They're right up to the... And yet these turbines, these are just little babies. These are 75 metres. The ones going up everywhere now are 200 metres in St. Kenneth. Over by my stake, Llinvi Valley, 250 metres. I mean, they're huge, these things. And what people forget is the concrete platform for the crane to put them up is enormous. It's not just a little island they sit on. So here we go. What David is saying, would you see this on a historic place like Marlborough Downs or something? Probably not. So there we go. So this is one aerial shot of, like I said, Mount of the Gaia. So what we're looking at there, if you don't know this area, if you're new again, this is a really important hill. It's worth going up. You can walk up. There's videos in the playlist and things. Go to if you want places to visit and sites, there's a playlist called Visits to the Sites. Click on there and you'll see quite a lot of places that we've walked to. And more recent ones, I tend to put maps in on how to get there and the difficulty of the walk, that kind of thing. But you'll find this on the map. If you look for St. Peter's here, it's a very ancient church that Wilson and Blackett bought. It was becoming derelict. Church of England didn't want it, or the church in Wales, same sort of thing. They got it. They bought that for a reasonable price. Well, I don't know what the price was, so a lot of money anyway. And then, of course, when they bought it, they announced, hey, we think this is historical. Very embarrassing for the church, and very embarrassing for people like Cadw and stuff like that, because this is just going to be a relic sold off to do with as you will. So they've done excavations there. You can show it's been rebuilt 6 or 7 times. And the story goes, or not the story, the picture we're trying to rebuild here, which is now extremely difficult, because these monstrosities, these 75-metre wind turbines, you can walk up here. There's the old church, St. Peter's. They got their graveyard. I need to check. I think Wilson Blackett owned everything in that line there. This area could be important. I need to know if we own that or not. Right, this is... it's got a blue circle. Even better circle. You can see this is a boat-shaped burial mound. Alright, and the farmer, the path used to go around here. And just to save time, whatever, the path now cuts through one of the really important sites. You can see a different colour and everything. If the boat was pointed that way, the helmsman's position would be here. And that was to be where ancient burial mound. So various British kings are supposed to be buried here. Okay, another important burial mound here, here. And then, of course, as you can see, as Dave has kindly put on here, lots of other potential sites that need exploring. We can't get any archaeology done. We're doing our best to do what we can do. It's very difficult because there's so many restrictions on the site, and yet they don't do anything else with it, and then it gets wrecked. And this is where it gets really frustrating, because there's lots of sites we like to go and do a proper survey and even some archaeology, and we're trying to get permission. It is possible, but that's really tightly controlled in case any harm comes to the site, and then supposedly to protect the site, and then permission's then given to completely ignore all the archaeology and the historical importance of the site. I just dig the whole thing up, put roads, build massive towers, drive trucks back and forth. I mean, it's yeah, you can see here, you got these platforms for the cranes to go on to service and erect them, and there's more concrete underground that you can't see. If you look at the bottom where that whole area is concreted, they re-turf some of it to make it look quite so bad. But the damage for anything done around here, and it's going to be the same all over the country. England, Wales, Scotland, all getting it, alright? This is coming to a hill near you. And around the world, actually. Yeah, this is... And just to point out as well, this is not environmentally helpful. It's a con. This is to make money, or it's a cash grab. Then, I'll give one example. Thousands and thousands of tons of concrete are used in each of these platforms. And it's hidden platforms underneath you can't see. Now, because Britain is so conscious of pollution, we no longer make much of our own cement. So the lime quarries are over in India. Horrendous pollution problems. The lime gets quarried. That then goes into the lime kilns to burn it off and make the cement. And then the cement gets shipped thousands of miles around the world and delivered up here, made into concrete, caged in metal, which again needs more processing. And those platforms cannot be reused because of the rocking effect of the towers on them. And they're just left there forever. And that's it. They're appalling. So some industry figures say 7 or 8 years to recoup all the carbon emissions for making the huge towers, transporting them. There's a lot of carbon fibre in the propellers, so they can't get reused. They get landfilled. All this is steel, which all requires furnace work, and the steel has to come usually from India as well. So the environmental devastation of these is enormous. And then the payoffs that the local communities get in cash are tiny, when you consider it's our money paying to do these. When the Welsh Government says we're investing 1.6 billion in renewables, that's not their money. They don't have any money, it's our money, alright? And we get a little bit back. And which quite often, the company, as Bob Morgan explained a couple of weeks ago, the company that makes the promises to pay the local community, remove and make good at the end of the project, it's only lasts 20 years. These aren't forever, only about 20 years. They quite often declare themselves bankrupt. And then the same people turn up another company and they haven't got the same obligations. So you don't always get that money. So don't think, ooh, loads of money coming our way. No, it doesn't always work like that, unfortunately. And they don't always take them away. As we showed last week. So there's an overhead shot. So what we're trying to do there is, Dab is marked on here, we're trying to find the burial mound of Cranach I, which is around here. Could possibly be right next to that blinking turbine, which you can't see on here a bit. See, it's all concrete. This is a good camera, actually, if Dave took this to his drone. Yeah, I guess one of David's drone pictures. There's a fun game as well. Look at sheep and see if you can see any patterns in them. Right, oh, where'd that go? Right, okay, this is from last week again. Right, oh yeah, let's do the Goith Boil quickly. Right, oh, excuse me. Right, this is Goith Boil. Now, there's a famous scene in the Mabinogi where Arthur plays Goith Boil. Now, a lot of modern academics lazily call this chess. It's not chess. It's this game, which I'll show you in a second. So it's a fun thing, a little Christmas present perhaps, that we put together ourselves. We've got the boxes and had them specially printed, and if you look on the... I'll just seal this one up. This isn't going out. This will have to be mine, I think. So there's the... This is the sort of a very rough depiction of the sky. You can see the Milky Way in the middle, and you can also see I marked out the main star constellations. And the reason I've done that is because in the Mabinogi, when Arthur's playing this game here, it's actually not just a... If you read the story, it's a really weird story, okay? He's sitting there playing Goatboy with his knight, and these riders keep coming up, and they're talking about the crows. Are the crows still there? And have they won? And have they lost? Tell them to stop. It's very strange. Well, what Alan Wilson, or Wilson Blackett, work out very cleverly is this is actually telling us about the stars and the planets and how they move around. And it's really quite brilliant. We're going to be producing a new book on that. So it seemed keeping to me to make the board so like this. So as you can see, you learn your star map there as well. So I've drawn that and marked on all the major constellations. I don't know if that's in focus, not quite. But the star map doesn't actually affect the play in the game. It seems better than a plain board. So this is the... You also get the Viking game, which is similar. So a name I can't pronounce. I've forgotten it now. Oh gosh. Tadfal or something. Is it? You can also play chess and drafts. Hooray! You get a free chessboard. Or drafts board in this case. So what you do on there, I will do a proper video explaining the game. I've been promising this since last year. I've been so busy. So what you have in this, the reds represent the castles, if you like. They're the safe spots for the king. So the king, which you tend to think of as Arthur or someone stuck on a hill fort, he starts in the centre, surrounded by his own troops. And all that has to happen is for the king to get to one of the red ones, okay? And that's it. If he does that, the game's won. All the troops can die, doesn't matter. Now, the attacker has twice as many troops as the defenders. And to capture each other, you have to go either side. So it's a fairly simple game. Good fun. So you got little wooden pieces, and you can do gambling versions, you can play with dice. And so let's go with both. The Irish version, Fitchel's almost the same. It's called Irish. To me, that one seems crazy, you know. Do you imagine, in Wales, they're all playing, we have, I don't know, whatever it is, 8 defenders and 16 attackers. And I say, we're Irish, we have 12 and 24. And it's like, really? Do you not think maybe people played more than one game? All the rules are in here. You get to all different versions, and you can play with dice and stuff as well. So I'm not really sure how they use the dice, but I used to do a lot of work with games and game design, so I've come up with some potential rules of how dice might have been used. It's more to do with restricting the movement. Usually you chuck a dice, and then rather than just moving as far as you want, like you normally do, you're limiting how far. So all good fun, nice stocking filler for someone. And I want to talk about Goithboith, because it seems to me, the more you look at the game, that they're all variants of the same game, and it's very ancient. And it would be interesting to try and trace that back even further if possible. Right, what's happening in the message here? We lost our ocean view. Oh, hang on a second. Right. Oh, the hum would drive me crazy. Here we go, yeah. Plane drifter. Big winds, dirty little secrets. Blades, end-of-life disposal. Toxic lakes and radioactive waste. Yeah, they're carbon fibre. They can't recycle the blades. They get landfill. They chop them up and just bury them. Sometimes they grind them up. They always kill the native chiefs and shamans first in order to eliminate the oral history. Yeah, that's been the same thing happening with the Druids. Yeah, quite right. When Thatcher privatised water, poor GB now will pay dearly for it. Sorry, no politics. Yes. I haven't even mentioned the fact that they're now sneaking fluoride into the water in Wales. It wasn't allowed. Same. Yeah, sorry, I'll... So we have to try and filter that out now. So much noise for the drilling and the blowers. Yeah, it's a year of construction. Horrendous. I mean, even the industry figures saying 7-8 years to get the carbon back. And I reckon by the time you factor in them coming thousands and thousands of miles and things breaking down, not working, 10 to 12 years. And after 20 years, they turn them off. So there we go. What we got here? One thing I found interesting, which I can't seem to find on the web, the 23.5 degree axis from the Earth, the Sun, polar stars, what gave the base proportions of the 3 pyramids of Giza. Well, that's a remarkable comment. I don't know what made you think of posting that. But where's that book I'm reading on? That one, the Star Maps one, the one you thought was Star Wars. I think it's in the living room. Do you remember the book I was reading on it? Book I'm reading?
Giants.
No, the one I was showing, the Star Maps. You thought it said Star Wars. Oh, it doesn't matter. We'll do that next week. Yeah, I'm doing some reading up on mainstream Egyptology. It's one of my little secret pleasures. I don't know what other people do for a change of scene. I switched to Egyptology. But I was looking there very much... Now, I explained to you, this is one very much a Martin Leaker for his fans. Because I risk getting deep water now. I'm full of this blinking thing, so that's why let's just blurt it out and go for it. Something completely different. And what way my weird mind works, okay? There's a lot of thought about the Earth actually being flat, not a globe. Well, don't just call me a letter and hang up, alright? There's a lot gone into this. It's not the stupid thing we're normally told. It's worth looking at. As Einstein said himself, it's impossible to prove the shape of the Earth from its surface. Okay, so we need outside observation. Well, you trust that or not? Well, there you go. That's for you to decide. Now, I'm not going to judge either way. I really don't know, okay? I'll keep an open mind on it, and there seems to be a lot of evidence to support the old model, the old flat model, but hey, everyone's think I'm bonkers now. Right, but what struck me, which relates to that question there, made me think of it. Who's the question from? Oh, loads of comments. It's flown off the bottom. Is that there's a claim that the dimensions of the pyramids have been formulated by the ancients to exactly correlate with the dimensions of the globe. So I think you'll find that the side of a pyramid is roughly half a minute if we went round the world. So if you took the world as being a globe, it's 360 degrees, then each degree divides into 60 minutes. Half of that minute would be the side of a pyramid. And you can multiply up the other factors to fit in with the moon and all this. Well, it struck me then, it's an amazing discovery. So like yourself, I was trying to look more into, well, how does that work? Are we just being bamboozled here? Is it a case of whatever size I built my pyramid and whatever size the world was, it would have to tie together somehow, whether it's 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. That's one thing I'm looking at. Because I think the exact multiple is 4,150 or something like that. It's not like a particularly round number, but it does all divide down very neatly. That I'm conceding, okay? Well, what struck me is what we need to look at, things like this, to consider the flat Earth model. It would be interesting then to take the dimensions of the pyramid and see if they can be used to show something else within a flat Earth frame. I've done this to quite a few things. If the idea of there's certain natural ratios which are supposed to be indicative that ancient people recognised there was a globe, and they did things to mark the globe and fit with the globe. Well, that's very clever and all well and good. But if it's not a globe, why have they done it? And do they fit with a flat thing? And do they really show it's a globe? Anyway, that's just to amuse myself in the evenings when I'm wondering what else to do. Right, okay. Right, okay. So there's loads of clever stuff there. There's all sorts of ideas. People love pyramids. I'm going to have to do a thing on pyramids, how they were built. And I will reveal some secrets from Alan Wilson. Not tonight, but in the next couple of weeks, about why they were built. What they really do, and why there's no bodies ever found there. Okay, alright, I'm rambling a bit today. Brain's not with it. Right, okay, so I'm just going back. This is something we discussed last week. Oh, Arnie's chipping in. What's it? Everyone should read Living Downstream. Yeah, read the comments when you watch these videos, by the way. If you're watching on the catch-up, click on live chat button, because some of the comments are brilliant. They really are. I always read them. Fantastic. Right, so last week we talked a bit about this Roman villa complex with a rare mosaic of Homer's. Do you remember that last week? I hope you do. Basically what it is, any time anything's found in Britain, like particularly if it's ancient, it's going to be Roman, right? Or really ancient Neolithic, ancient Roman. Then nothing has to happen. This is why it's called the Dark Ages. Same trick they pulled in the ancient Middle East. What you have to do then is drag it apart There's just nothing in these dates. It's just a hole called the Dark Ages. Nothing really exists. So it's either Roman, or it's Saxon, or it's Norman, and on from there, okay? So this was a... thank you, Mandy, for sending this through to me. This is like a follow-up article. Because what we're looking at... Mandy actually sent this to me before last week's show. I didn't have time to get to it. It showed... This mosaic floor showed the story of Achilles and Hector at the conclusion of the Trojan War, okay? And... the more I think about it, the more flabbergasted I am by this, because if it was a different world, a fair world... Hang on, I need to copy that link as well. Oop, should have done that. What have I done? This immediately at least should be considered that the British history, up until recently when it's changed, around about 1700, was that we descended from the Trojan Wars, and that's where the British people are, and therefore it should be a great interest, particularly the English, the Trojans, okay? So when you find something which, to my mind, would seem to support that story, you're like, oh my goodness, perhaps the British records are right. Perhaps this does show the evidence for the migrations, yeah? But no, immediately, as soon as you hit anything with a stone with a flattened edge, it's Roman. Alright, and so the fact that it fits in with British history doesn't seem to have crossed anyone's mind, which is, I find, really bizarre. Why? Because I've been discussing with some mainstream academics lately, and they ask me questions like, why are mainstream academics, what's the reputation they got, how are they perceived? And I was like, very low. This is the kind of thing, because they don't question the narrative at all, okay? So it's more about that story, and how they dug this up, and for no reason whatsoever, it's automatically Roman. Well, the flip side of it as well is to think that, even if it was Roman, why have they put up something about Troy? Why is that suddenly part of Roman history? Because then you're going back to Roman foundation stories, which tie in very closely. After the fall of Troy, Aeneas is said to have come to Rome, established there, and you got another thing Wilson and Blackett have written. I've got to get out. I'm going to have to be less present on some of the social media and that, and less visits. I've got to get some of this stuff out. And I think I'll do a lot of it as videos, though. So remember, stay in touch with the channel, subscribe, all that kind of thing, because I will be putting more of the unpublished stuff out. One of which is the whole story of the foundation of Rome itself. Romulus and Remus, who they were. Wilson Blackett worked all this out as well. It's fantastic stuff. So we'll get on to that. There you go. So you got British designs, British story, found in Britain. That obviously can't be British, can it? Because that's not allowed. He must have been a very wealthy British citizen who was also well educated and well read on all that kind of stuff. There was an additional point to make on this. Oh, look at this Alice Roberts. Oh, isn't she lovely? She's there pushing this mainstream story every time. I'd like to know more about Alice Roberts. If anyone knows exactly how well qualified that she is. Because I had a real shock the other day to find out Brian Cox, the sort of genius of science. So something like a D, I think his A-level maths, his was A-level physics. He scraped a degree, he's not an expert at all. So I wonder about old poor old Alice there. So they can see them digging it up, clean it all off, they get loads of funding. No doubt it's going to be a massive thing over it, as opposed to Caermead, South Wales, which is a British palace, same sort of period, nothing's there. Oh, that's right, it's going to be... that's what I was going to show, yes. There is going to be a BBC Two programme about this to look out for. It's going to be called Dig In for Britain. Dig In for Britain. Does anyone else get the irony of this title? Oh, it's shameless. Dig In for Romans, it should say. Dig In for Italy. There you go. So Dig In for Britain early 2022, which is a few weeks away, I suppose. Depends how early it is. So, look out for that. Remind me to look for it and everything, all this kind of thing. But what it does do is this. I really want to show. Where are we? Yeah. Is this crazy TikToker Have you seen this video? I'm tempted to just show the whole video. I'll put the link up with that. You can copy it off here. Right, now what this... I think she's actually quite interesting young lady here. She has put out a... she's got everyone really upset. Right, I'll tell you what I think about this when we get to the end of it. Let's just watch a little bit first of all, okay? You'll enjoy this. Because apparently this person has... Oops, sorry, you can't see, can you? The Sutton Hoo Mounds is... yeah, you wait to see. We got more research on that. They have found something at Sutton Hoo last February. Major find. We got a pretty good idea what the major find is. And I've got a good theory why it causes them a real problem, because it completely screws their story of it being a 7th century Angle site. Raidwell. Now, Bob Morgan's the man on this. He's been down to Sutton Hoo. He's camped out there. He's trying desperately to find out British Museum, everything. What you do with this information then? Because they had this information, I think it was February or March, round about then. So it's like over 6 months later, and they cannot, they still won't announce the details. It's public money. We pay for this research. They've done some really important research on something they found in the mounds, which could be traces of the nails. So it could be source in the metal. Amazingly, there was wood which had been kept from the original dig, which had been tested in 40, 50 years. And if you remember last year, there was some resin they tested, because this resin had always been called, of course, a while since I looked at this story, but it's called like pine tar or something like that. And what the story that's been for 40 odd years was that this was a kind of gooey pitch for waterproofing boats that was made out of pine trees in Norway, because that fitted the Scandinavian narrative, Raidwald and all that. And of course, when they finally tested it a year or two ago, oh no, it comes from the Middle East, it's not from Scandinavia. Slightly wrong. This is one of the key bits of information to build the whole story. Because the way it works is you get the assumption this is Norwegian. This is because of this resin, right? Pine tar, I think they call it, something like that. Maybe someone will correct me. Doesn't really matter, the name is wrong anyway. So this is Norwegian, therefore this, and this, because of this. And then what happens then is when this gets disproved and thrown out, they forget that the rest of the story was based on that. This is the mad thing about it. And you start pulling all the planks away underneath this. It's an Anglo-Saxon, or it's Redwalt's. It's pretty certainly older, much older. And it's British. I mean, there's British standards in there. The problem is that anything that gets found as British is considered to be loot or trade goods. And the fact that Britain was linked to the Middle East through the migrations, the tin trade, the copper trade, again, it points to be British, but now it's going to be loot from, or trade. Same with the coins. We had that, the coins... We got this circular argument. The coins must be from a certain period because they're found at Sutton Hoo. Then Sutton Hoo must be from a certain period because that's where the coins are found. It's that bad. Really. I remember Alan Wilson saying a few times, it's amazing we haven't gone bonkers doing this. I can see what he means now. Because anyway, this young lady, which I recommend you watch, she has a 3-minute version of the video, which I think is linked down here, which I might show in a second. Anyway, she's got like 100,000 followers, millions of views. There are 3 million people. Oh no, hang on, that's this thing. Anyway, enormous numbers of people have watched this. And of course, they do a bit of a hatchet job here. What she says is slightly different to how they describe it, but it gives you a good idea, okay? There are 1.8 million likes. Wow. Oh yeah, I worked out what's happened, Arnie, with the dislikes. Yeah. The dislike button is still on YouTube, but it doesn't count any numbers. So all the fun's gone.
So if I press dislike, it wouldn't...
You can press dislike, but no number comes up. So there's a couple of people very disappointed because every week I get at least a few dislikes. Usually about 20 minutes before the show went live, they'd already disliked it. So, but those no longer register, which I think is a crying out shame. And Arnie was saying one of the reasons he thinks it is because the video with the most dislikes of last year, or the year just gone, of all time, was the one YouTube put up.
Yeah, the YouTube Rewind 2020 or 2021.
So what was their video about, Ollie? Why was everyone disliked it so much?
Well, I don't know, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it, okay.
Basically just, what they do, they recap, like, the year of YouTube and stuff.
Oh, okay. So they've done a little recap of the year. Oh, that's a bit clearer. I think I'm clearing up now. Starting to come to life. Let's do another couple of hours. Right. So what she's saying that it's surprisingly close to some of the stuff I put out, is that she said that ancient Rome didn't exist. It was a figment of the Spanish Inquisition's imagination. So not quite the same. She also falsely claimed there isn't a single extant Roman document or primary document. Well, there isn't really. I will come on to this reported existence of Roman documents and tablets with Latin written on them. Well, for one, I would say, just because something's got Latin on it, this is going to blow your mind a bit, perhaps, and it's my own little thesis I'm working on, is that I don't think Latin was invented by the Romans either. It's just gets, the more we dig into this hole, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and that you can't actually, I think the Latin might have gone the other way. It's a language that's gone from Britain to Rome much, much, much later. I mean, we're talking Renaissance or something even. Like flamenco, if you read that with the new chronologies, so I'm going to talk more about. I mean, I try and stick to Wilson and Blackett as much as possible because no one else really does. But flamenco's new chronology, read book 1 if you can. Because what you find in there is it really takes apart how the Roman and Greek narrative was put together. And a lot of it seems to be forgeries, as this person alludes to. Sorry, what's her name? I don't know her name. She doesn't even get a name in all this, does she? A TikToker. Interesting. They don't actually put a name up anywhere. Does she realise I don't know her name? Millennial, is that her perhaps? Anyway, so yeah, like, because I was explaining to someone asked a question on a video this week, was saying, well, you know, if there was no Rome in Britain, then why was all these Roman coins found? Well, the problem is, are the coins Roman? If you got a coin with a picture of a British king on it and some British writing on it, and all your life someone's told you that's a Roman emperor with Roman writing, you think it's a Roman coin, but it's all based on guesses and assumptions. It really is that flimsy. There's a massive story about to blow out here. So I can play a bit of this from here in a second. It's probably best from our own lips.
Right, so you're telling me that you got an entire in classics, and it never occurred to you that there isn't a single Roman document? It always blows my mind talking to people who have invested their lives in the study of ancient Rome, because y'all don't seem to realize it didn't exist. It is a figment of the Spanish Inquisition's imagination. 0 primary documents. None.
I wouldn't call it. Oh, hang on, I meant to pause it then, not end it.
This feels like arguing.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. I wouldn't agree on the Spanish Inquisition, or even if that comes into it at all, really. But as a Renaissance creation, I would say that's where the documents appear. But it is surprising. There's no ancient copies of, like, Caesar's causes, Gallic Wars or Tacitus or any of these people. Flamenco talk about this. I've done research. You can't find them. Thumbs down stats are back. Here we have 60 thumbs up and 1 down. Okay, so far. Come on, there's more. Anyway.
Doing with someone in like the year 3000 CE that is convinced that Disney World was the ruler of the North American continent. It's not real, dude. Did you not think it's weird that anytime we find in situ ancient Roman sites, the letters are all written in Greek? We have Babylonian, we have hieroglyphics. No Roman. It was bred in circuses. It's a circus, man.
Actually, I found the original thing was... Oh, here we go, the 3-minute one. Sorry, this is what I meant to show you. It's the first time I've seen that one.
I've had several folks ask in good faith now what I mean by Rome wasn't real, realizing that probably was a metaphor. So let's do the $3 version, 3-minute version of what I'm talking about. As requested, this will be an Explain Like I'm 5. First thing we need to do is set the stage. We're going to the 4th century to 2nd century BCE. This is just to give you an idea of how fractured the political landscape is. This is the Iberian Peninsula, all of the different groups there. Moving into Gaul, it is just a smorgasbord of different cultural groups. The Greeks were king shit because they owned all of the trade routes, the Aegean Sea and the one land route that connected Europe to Asia. And considering China thought of Syria as a great empire, there was probably more going on there. There are just massive gaps in the archaeological record. Alright, now you have an idea of like the power players. Let's look at the Italian peninsula. These are the ethnic groups of the 4th century BC peninsula. Note that the Latinum are not Greek, Carthaginian, or Italian. They were refugees. Things had been really bad from about 1600 BC to 800 BC, and the Latinum were the people that survived from other places. Now that the stage is set, we have to talk about how the economy relates to the temple. Remember...
Right, I gotta say, I just want to jump in there, because a couple of questions are good. First of all, Richard DJ is asking, what does Alan Wilson think of this? I did try to raise this subject with him a couple of years ago, actually, try to get him interested in, see if he wanted to read the book. But he wasn't. He thought it was interesting. I mean, he didn't want to engage in it. He is getting old now. He's almost 90. He doesn't want to start going down massive rabbit holes. Alan Wilson's research, he's very much... he gets the old Welsh documents and the physical evidence and sees where it takes him and then see if it checks out, which it does. It's a very simple, confined or self-contained process. Physical evidence backs up. And disappointingly, with Fomenko, I even lashed out and bought book 4. Just to give you an idea, there's 6 or 7 of these. Thank you very much. I've now got most of them on as digital formats, and I went my way through buying them, but it's like one expensive bookmark in there, no napkin. The British, this is the book 4 is the one that covers British history and why that was fabricated and how it's fabricated. But unfortunately, it does a pretty weak job on British history. Such a poor job that it weakens my confidence in all of it. But what they do very well is they take apart the Roman narrative and the Greek narrative, and they take apart the mainstream historic British narrative. And I'm like, the people who wrote this, you should read some Wilson and Blackett, because you're taking all these things apart quite rightly and explaining why, like carbon dating is all nonsense. Yeah, I'm with you. Dendrochronology is all nonsense. The way the timeline's all nonsense. Scaliger, which comes into answering the question, who wrote what? When Scaliger made this timeline, like this ladder I always call it, and you hook your events onto the ladder. Well, he decided where the rings on the ladder would go. It was him who decided that. Just one academic working in difficult conditions a few hundred years ago, and no one's questioning it. It's a bit bonkers. And it all fitted the political agenda at the time. So, Scaliger, for example, his father, bizarrely, is called Julius Caesar. So, I mean, I don't know, the whole thing is really crazy when you look at it. And what you'll find is that the documents, when the Medicis came to power and brought money, they seem to be the centre of it, the bankers. Because one of the issues I had with this, so we'll come back to the rest of that in a second. One of the issues I had with this is how stupid are these people? They're smart guys, they're bankers, they're not idiots. Who would have a bloke come up to them in the way... I've got to get to learn the Renaissance names, but there's an Italian guy, brilliant historian, brilliant writer, a team of people working for him. He said, I can find the original ancient documents to show things like the Roman Empire and stuff like this, okay? Tacitus, I'm not sure if he found Caesar, definitely found Tacitus, and a couple of other, Pliny, I think, the classic Roman writers. And he went off, travelled around. Oh, it would take me a long time, it'll take me a year or so, With the book's written, why would it take a year? So he came up with some excuse, you have to copy it or something. The only copy was in some remote castle up in Germany. The whole story is very suspect. You think, well, why on earth? Fomenko's in there, almost saying that the historian that conned the bankers out of their money. And he was talking big money. I mean, he built a palace with staff out of the money he got paid for this book. So we're not talking, brown envelopes. This is proper high-level corruption with what were probably one of the richest families in the world at the time. But then, penny finally dropped. No, of course not. The Medicis want the history made up. They want it written. They're commissioning it to be written, not found. And they will dress it up afterwards. Which is why Fomenko would argue that all through all these old paintings and that, everyone's dressed in medieval clothes. They're not dressed in ancient clothes. Even look at Bible pictures and things. Everyone's dressed. It's a whole big subject. Would recommend reading it. Get on to another time. I would do more about it because it does fascinate me. And let's say, warn you now, they are big old books. And they've got, where I find them very useful, particularly book 1. And this is book 4. You get thousands and thousands of references. I mean, literally thousands. There's like 20,000 in the first book or something. So the references are really useful. And this is the work. Oh, which I almost forgot. Please leave a comment on the video I just did about whether or not we should reprint King Arthur Conspiracy. I think it sees a lot of demand for it. But I need to know we can shift at least 50 of the books, about the £30-35 mark. Possibly into 2 smaller volumes, it's so big. Because you can't get the book anywhere. Someone just paid £200 for one. You know, this is like censorship. I do want to make clear the topics contained in the book will be produced as smaller books anyway. But this is the original book. It's worth having. It's fantastic. And I'm doing short videos with excerpts from it. So I see people are far, from the figures I can see, people are far more interested in hearing Lawrence than me talking about King Arthur Conspiracy. Such is life. That's okay. Right, so hang on. Yeah, so when we come to who wrote things and all that kind of stuff, it's a much bigger picture. Okay.
By controlling the land bridge into Asia and the Aegean Sea, Greece.
All right, yeah, she's, just to give the background, she says the Greeks ran everything. What's frustrating is she's clearly never heard the British migrations. She has no idea who the people were who formed the Etruscans and who moved through that area and Trojan War. But if we allow for her not knowing any of that, and if it can't be Romans, it must be Greeks, which in my mind you get the second prize on and getting it all wrong. It's actually quite interesting.
Greece has all of the economic power, and when there's no separation between church and state, they have all of the religious power. Temples are where craft goods were created. Before we're using coins, workers got paid in beer or linen or bread. And since all of the land was owned by the temples had to pay everyone. So how did a tiny little speck like this wrench power from this?
Honey.
Climate change. In the 4th century BCE, a massive
Sorry, I was going to rewind it slightly.
drought completely
Oh, I can't rewind it now.
changed the power dynamics of the region. I'll link the JSTOR study in the comments, but Greece didn't have any more water. And neither did anyone else, except Latinum. And the refugees came and they built the first aqueduct, which took from Iranian and Etruscan engineering. But make no mistake, Greece was the power player. So if you see Greek architecture somewhere else in the world, that's like seeing a square house in Argentina and saying, oh, that must be the United States of America, because that's how their houses are shaped. Rome was an empire like Disney or the circus are an empire, culturally, economically.
There you go. I think it makes quite a lot of good points, actually. I quite enjoyed that. I like the idea that just because a house is square-shaped doesn't make it Roman. I mean, there's a lot of common themes in there. What was also interesting, I think, is why has this story suddenly got this massive coverage? It's appeared in newspapers or magazines, all sorts of stuff. You know, why has this got so much attention? It's almost like a spoiler campaign, isn't it? So yeah, 1.8 million likes. I don't think that's just for this video. I think that's over all her videos. So they're kind of really trying to hype up this big fuss. And what's interesting here, actually the 3-minute one, which gained almost 100,000 views, as he's got a lot more since then. Rome wasn't real, it was a metaphor. Okay, it says Greece was the major player. I'm not sure there are any major players, but there you go. And maybe the dates are wrong. Like Fomenko would just shove everything up 1,000 years. I'm going to have to do a whole video on that, because I've got a different idea on that one. So all this stuff. Right, here we go. in his video, he called a conspiracy theorist, whoever this was, Michael Paul, ancient and classical studies professor at Earlham College in Indiana. And bizarrely, right, this little scrap is the only thing he could produce. Is that amazing? So he doesn't turn up and say, well, yes, here's the ancient copies of Tacitus, and here's the ancient copies of Casus Bellus, and here's the ancient copies of Pliny and all these Plutarch and all this. It's this one scrap, which is dubious dating anyway. So I think if that's the best you got, this is a little bit weird, really. Right, another one. Look at this now. This is where the article gets really mad, okay? She said that Hadrian's Wall, a Roman defensive military wall, cannot be proven to be of Roman construction. And falsely, well, you used to say it was false, but anyway, she says it's a road, not a wall. I haven't really thought about that. But an academic TikToker, still not all here, very academic, no real name on it or anything. Ross is my real name, Ross Broadstock. The duetted video said he'd visited Hadrian's Wall, but it's a popular tourist attraction. And that's it. Oh, here we go. The consensus, whatever that means, is that the wall is Roman and it was built by the Roman army at the behest of Emperor Hadrian. Wrong. Big wrong. big wrong. Does anyone know who built Hadrian's Wall? Because it wasn't Hadrian. It's like a trick question, isn't it? Is it was, I'm sure someone's going to put it on there. Someone got a massive lag, so the answer is I can't see them until after I speak. Alright, so they do a little bit of character assassination of her, of course. Where's Severus? Is Septimus Severus, who was actually more than likely a British king, not Roman at all, and was built a few hundred years after Hadrian. So there you go. I thought it was interesting. I wonder if, as a group, Britain's Hidden History, we started to make a little bit of traction here. Because usually you get these kind of spoiler videos and stuff when people are taking notice. Because, I don't know, I haven't seen these things in the past. So it's almost like, I think it's quite exciting anyway. So hopefully more ridicule and more attacking stuff shows maybe this kind of message is getting through a bit. Even with our friend, the anonymous here, a TikToker. Didn't even put a name on. I think it's a bit mean, I think. There you go. Alright, just wanted to mention to people, I'm going to wrap it up soon, is that we've got the website. Don't forget, we've got a website. I don't think people use the website, don't realise that, I'm not showing it. That doesn't help, does it? So I'm showing stuff, he's going there. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so there we go, is the website. I just want to show quickly, because there's quite a few things you can do on there. Which, and Peter Smith in particular deserves special mention because he's been working really hard. Oh, good grief. Right, so we got, hopefully you can see this, britain.hiddenhistory.co.uk. It's all linked, it's all part of the same thing, okay?
Treaties and so on. If it makes sense and it's coherent, it's right, is it?
And the other big difference seems to be with...
There's clips there. There's the hieroglyphics, reading hieroglyphs using Welsh. It's on the S4C, all that kind of stuff, lots of information, so you can scroll through, it's like a timeline, and then you got, if you click the books, time to start your adventure. So there's something about all the books, when people ask about the books. You buy the books through the Cumberglyphic site, but you can read all about them here, little bits of blurb and things. What else we got? Reference. So there's some, I did start writing more articles, but now they've done on videos now, I don't write so much now. Apart from getting Alan Wilson's books out. And what I do want to show you is, I'm going to right click on this one, the forum. Because this forum is packed with information, okay? People work really hard on this, particularly Peter Smith. And what you do, the grey ones, I don't like the way the white is out of grey, because you've got general. So here we've got loads of stuff here from Alan Hassel, lots of his films, his work. He went Wilson and Blackett. If you're thinking what books related to this, click on there. You'll find lots of ideas, different books. About the books, quite often there's downloads. Let's go back to the forum. What else we got then? And then it's split into rough categories then. So all stuff about Romans in Britain or not, by Monica. Well done, Monica. That's 2019, look. So that's 2 years we've been running this now. Well done. And there's stuff about Arthurian Britain. And if you click through, you'll find there's other books and articles. So if you want to browse through and find stuff, you'll find loads of things here. Richard Evans has done quite a bit. Camlan photos, which I've used on the website. If you look at photographs of like... hang on, let's go and look on there. See, someone's left, so... where's it gone? Oh, here it is. So there's some beautiful photographs on PTF. These are taken in 2018. And it's interesting, well, sad in a way. You can see the walls are getting smaller every time I go up there. There's the gate, there's Caer Cranach we talked about earlier. Great pictures. Can anyone spot what's missing on these photographs? Come on, quiz time. Who's paying attention? This is how the mound used to look elevated and everything. Yeah. There's a church. What's missing?
Gravestones?
Gravestones. What's missing on these pictures, Art? What's missing? Why does it look so beautiful? It doesn't look so beautiful anymore. Look at these beautiful unobstructed views. Yes, thank you, Suzanne. Yes, the wind turbines. Who got that? Yeah, well done. Oh, Snuggle Buggle's got it. Leon's got it. Lego, well done, everyone. Thank you. Retro Modern Art, Susanna Price, Chris Marsden. Oops, sorry. Latin was created for legal reasons. Yes, Chris, I'm starting to come to that way of thinking as well. I think it's a far more recent language. Oh, yeah, so there's loads of stuff. There's a picture of Monica there. Hey. Yeah, that was it. So when Monica went up there was a flower at the church. And after you went, Monica, there was we saw your little present you left for a little dedication you left to Arthur. We left it there, obviously. Yes, there's loads of stuff. I think you enjoy the forum. Have a look. There are discussion boards as well. So we've got hieroglyphics, which I haven't updated for ages. Early Christianity in Wales. Patrick, David, Ifted, Joseph Arimathea. It's a vast resource. All right, so use it. I keep forgetting to mention it. Right. Okay, so I just want to mention the websites and that. Then you've got hieroglyphics where you can buy your Christmas gifts, your T-shirts and your books and all that kind of thing. I've already talked about the coins, really, because I just want to say there's another one. I will put all these links up in the description. It's another example. These coins are basically considered Anglo-Saxon because they match the ones found at Sutton Hoo, which were assumed to be Anglo-Saxon because they match somewhere else. It's just like a circle. And once you start pulling the bits out, it all collapses. I think all this is going to collapse. All this story is going to collapse. Sutton Hoo is just waiting to drop. There's so many things about these coins which makes them far more likely to be early British than Anglo-Saxon. We haven't done coins for a few months, have we? I might go back into that next week. Let's make a note. It's actually quite interesting. Alright, numismatics and all that. I love coins. Because quite often it's the only evidence you got with a half a chance of dating it. It's actually got light writing and pictures. Oh, you know the drink. Right, then you come to the end. I'm not going to go through this article, this one. And I'll put a link, you can read it yourself. It's just appalling. That's what I'm going to say for now. It's the most bizarre. It's just bizarre. I thought it was just some joke blog. Who was it? Was it Ivy who put this on our website? On their Britain's Hidden on their Facebook group? Join the Britain's Hidden History Facebook group as well. A couple of thousand members on there. It's very polite, very friendly, and lots of information gets shared. As you see, a lot of the things I use on Sundays come from there. Nice people, nice discussion. I won't go through the whole thing now. I'll put the link, you can read it. But I'll just give a quick summary. It's, well, actually, there's a couple of bits even here that go to the page. It talks about how Christianity was brought in like the 5th and 6th century and stuff. And it's just like they never... It's like you just never even knew that there was history here in Britain before then. Yet if you look at any tiny bit of research, you'll see there's councils, you know, of church leaders, the Council of Nicaea, and obviously there's earlier versions and synods and stuff. Go right back to like 190 with 3 British bishops turning up, and yet no one's British. It's just bizarre. You think, what a rubbish thing. And then you dig into it and you find this is actually... I think it's, I'll be careful, I don't malign anyone incorrectly, but I think it's Northumbrian University, or the University of Northumberland. This is their official Archaeology and History Department website. I was just absolutely stunned. So I come back to that one next week and do a proper rip apart of it. But I'll put the link up. You can see it on the screen. Have a look. Just look up Keys to the Past. It comes up anyway, I think. Oh yeah, I was going to do that. Right, okay. Right, one little bit of feedback someone sent to us. Dave, who I am seeing Dave tomorrow, actually. So looking forward to that, Dave. Hope you're watching. We're on a bit of a secret project, which I shall be showing next week on the show. So another ancient site, which hopefully we can see tomorrow, which is underwater. There's a big clue. So people know what I'm on about. They can have a guess. I'm going to have a guess. Go on. And you'll see there's particularly low tide today and tomorrow. So we're going to try and have a look at that. See if we can see it. I will be filming it. There'll be something interesting to show next week. And the famous Martin Leake might be with me. So there we are, honoured. We're going to meet in person. So we'll be doing that. Now, one of the things that Dave, he's a very clever chap, and he's a bit of an engineer. And if you haven't seen it yet, there's a great video of the bowl effect at Corillid, one of the oldest worship sites in the world. At least a couple of thousand years old, it would seem. Maybe 3,000 years is a bit freaky, but about 2,000 years at least. And what we were testing is the acoustics. How wherever you moved around the bowl, you could always hear it equally as well. And it seemed to work. But we got some technical feedback there about how we could do it differently. Bob agrees with all this. I've shared it with Bob. He agrees. We're going to go back and we're going to try some different experiments. And what I think would be fun to do, I will advertise the date in advance. And I think we'll have a decent sized group of us could turn up. We can have a laugh, have a chat. And also, we could try some group singing, group noises. Because what Dave, I had a good chat with Dave on the phone, what he explained to me was that you get a multiplier effect. If this is a bowl, and there's people all the way around it, you really get, literally, deafening. You can start to get into the, on the right, you got the pain chart. This is how decimals work. It's quite technical, new subject for me to learn. So if you want to read through this, you're saying it's showing less of an increase than it should have done. There's different ways you can calibrate the sound thing. We didn't plan that trip. Bob had done his research normally. We just happened to have the stuff in the car. We were nearby. I had my guitar because I was making videos for the wind turbine thing. So we just gave it a go. So we're going to revisit that, okay? And the longer we leave it, the more the leaves that disappear. And I know I was going to say we'd take all the leaves out. Oh, excuse me. I was very rude in the microphone. Was that... So I said, don't dredge all the leaves and wildlife's in there, they burrow and all that kind of stuff. So I have to be very careful if we do that, if at all. But very conscious of not messing up the environment. But it would be good to do some sound tests. And the point was, if it was dredged, then the bowl would be even more perfect. And if all the trees were taken out. And before anyone says, please don't cut the trees down, it's terrible. Do you realise... Since we stopped using coal in this country, how many trees are cut down every year, primarily from Estonian ancient forests and Canada, all the way to Britain? How many trees a year? A little question to leave you with tonight. You can look it up. How many trees a year cut down to supply British power stations, which can no longer use coal, because coal's not allowed. Because old dead trees, which have been there for a long time, is not good to burn. But trees are growing in ancient woodlands, cut those down. Burn them, that's okay. The world is mad, it really is. Oh, I haven't done Steve's thing. I'm going to do this quickly though, right? I'll come back to Steve's coracle next week. It's important. Steve's coracle. Right, now just a quick one to finish, okay? Because it's late. I need to go to bed. I need to school tomorrow. Right, this, if you're not familiar with it, is from Gavin White's book. Should be right there. Right there. Come on. I know where it is. Excuse me, I've been reading the book. I'm going out because I've been reading it again. It's fantastic. I took it in my bag yesterday because I thought I'd have a chance to read it when we were selling the books, but it's busy all day, so it never happened. Oh yeah, don't forget, Wednesday evening, Tafswell. Chance to see me live if you wish to have a chat. Speak. I'll take some books along, that kind of thing. Right. This is put together by Gavin White, is a probable... I think it's a great job. It's the best I've seen anyone come up with. And this is the Babylonian zodiac. So you know today we have our Aries, Taurus, Cancer, Gemini, Leo, all that kind of stuff. This is what they would have had, mapping out the stars in the sky. And it works like a spiral. So you start there and you follow it in. And it spirals in. Whoa! To the centre. Sorry, I just went... And this is the centre, okay? Now it's very interesting because I'm reading this other book, the Star... What's that book called I'm reading? Star something. It's not Star Maps, from John Powell, Mayor of Brecon. Thank you for that. And yes, the musical is coming along. Yes, I still want more volunteers. I need a couple more songs. And so much to talk about. I'm going to have time waffling at the beginning. The musical. We're doing an Arthur musical, hopefully live on stage in Brecon in a few months' time. I've written a synopsis. The whole story's done, all by, inspired download. Did a couple more songs. Got the main melody. That's done. Nice melody to run through the whole show. We're off and running. It's going to be cracking. Yes, so it's interesting. They're talking there that one of the things is mainstream. It's not that mainstream, but it's a book with a different angle. Is that the centre moves slightly. Well, we all know this, the wobble. So at the moment, we're lucky. We got the pole star in the middle of the sky. It's not always in the middle of the sky. Whether you're on the flat Earth, globe, dome, whatever model, all right? These do seem to move around. So they appear to spin. Whether we're spinning or they're spinning, they appear to spin. And there's a lot of ancient work done about the spinning pole, twisting like a drill, going through the axis, all that kind of stuff. But that's not what I want to talk about. That's not the story we're here for. Right, what we're looking at is Steve Willits, who we're going to get back on the show again soon. He's been off working very hard. He is discovering that all these things can be plotted onto South Wales place names. So weird place names in South Wales which don't make any sense at all. Like the one I mentioned a lot is that farm we went to is called the White Shoulder Farm. What farm you called the White Shoulder? Until you realise that the farms around there are the different body parts of Tiamat, the ancient Babylonian god, including the things you should be holding. All the names fit. And then you start to think, whoa, what is going on here? Now, then looking at this, we've always assumed, with Wilson and Blackett and everything, we're getting back to St. Genydd Common again. Where on this map is St. Genydd Common, okay? And, of course, our always assumption is, because the Polaris stone and everything, it's going to be in the centre, alright? Because that makes sense, where Polaris would be. But whenever you plot this, it never quite works, okay? It's one of the reasons you haven't published a map yet. It doesn't seem to quite work. It's just a bit out. Nothing quite works. And Polaris always has to be moved a bit. Or you just try to make it kind of work. And then Steve, not me, Steve Willits had this piece of inspiration. If you look at this map, there's one... If this is your sky, and it is based on where the stars are in the sky. If you look at this as your night sky, have a look at it a minute. Have a think. And you can see, by the way, like on the game here, you can see the Milky Way. See the Milky Way there? So it's pretty much as I've drawn it on here, and I've tried to put the main... like I've tried to put, there's the three, you recognise the Belt of Orion, those three, it is correct anyway, this, and the explanations inside, is that, if this is a map you're working with, if you had to somewhere put in a little, what do you want to call it, a mini-map, showing how the whole thing works, where on there would you put it? I'll just give you a couple of minutes, I'll read some comments. Yep, the Greeks pushed their history further and further back to make it seem like they're the oldest civilization. Where, well, Alan Wilson would say this is about 600. They were savages running around up in the hills. And it's actually the British that gave them writing, or the Kimmerai did. Okay, I prefer Velikovsky to usurp YouTube researchers. Velikovsky all the books are there in a row. I'm a big Velikovsky fan. You'll find that Velikovsky ties in remarkably well with Fomenko and Alan Wilson's work. They tie in beautifully. Alan Wilson quotes Velikovsky more than anyone, probably. And I've quoted his work a lot. It comes up again and again and again. Anyway, to those who are trying to solve the puzzle, as it were, well, if you're going to use a bit of this map, imagine you're like me. I've got this old piece of paper and I want to write somewhere on the piece of paper. I've got to find a blank bit, haven't I? I need a gap. Look at this bit. If you look at the night sky, there's one part where there aren't many stars, all right? How cool is this? This is the bit. This is the blank bit where you can scribble in your teaching aid, if you like, your little mini-map. And guess what? When you take all these places in line and start plotting them all on the map, this seems to be where the pole or Polaris would be. The centre is here. This would be the Goiteborg game with Arthur. This bit. Because there's nowhere else you can put it. Everywhere else is full. And so Steve's been going bonkers, I say for months, it's probably for a year or two, because he keeps coming up with this thing. He puts everything in place, and he's like, he keeps ringing me up. We have long chats, you know, good fun. He keeps saying Polaris is here, but it can't be here on my map. It doesn't work. On my map, it's just in the wrong place. So we tried ideas. There's been 2 maps, or there's 2 Polarises, or the Polaris is from a different map, and all this kind of stuff. And then Steve suddenly got it. This is why he goes away and meditates and things. This gap, that's St. Gerith. That's where you put the stones to explain the whole thing. You need a blank bit. Anywhere else is just going to confuse things. So all the other places, you can find the names of the mounds and the stones, all that, which matches at the moment until they destroy it all. This all works. The place names should still stay, hopefully. And this gap, that's St. Gerith. That's where that little map goes. How awesomely cool is that? Whew, it's amazing stuff. Be careful, I start staring at this for a long time sometimes. And you'll be sitting there watching nothing happening. Right, what else we got then? Okay, right. Yeah, and I've got some hesitations about Velikovsky as well, Amelia. And I think we look at Velikovsky's friends and he's Einstein's mate and all this, and the publications, the influence. Even though he got vilified and horribly attacked, I still see him as a potential insider, and he's potentially given us what you call a limited hangout, where he's given us a lot of information, which is brilliant, and then just heading us off at the pass and not quite giving us all of it. So I'm sceptical of Velikovsky, but doesn't dispute the research he shows, which does check out. With all these writers, you don't take everything, you know. Right, okay. Great day with Lawrence. We've had enough about Lawrence, yeah. Oh, yeah, someone asked, what's the church? There it is, St. Teaglid. This is where Arthur is supposed to have died. We'll come on to that in future videos of Lawrence. Okay, so you look up that name, Teaglid. Don't usually spell it quite like that in Welsh, but there we are, it's just come out. Oh, I was going to talk about the Lost Cantref. Right, one for next week is 20 to 10. It's getting way too late now. Homework for next week. Look up the Lost Cantref Gwaelod. This is their... it's one of those comical bits. Go on Wikipedia. I was going to show Wikipedia. Oh, I was going to show the Queen as well. Alright, overrun again this time. For next week, look up Cantref Gwaelod. This is this legendary area which is below water and flooded. This ties in with what I'm doing tomorrow, you see. We're finding places supposedly it never existed. They're legendary. Except the low tide you can see them. It's been like this. It's legendary, doesn't exist, and yet at low tide you can see some of the remains. You tell me how that works, alright? And I got some more evidence to show, which I'll do next week now. And then about bards, you got this weird thing with the Queen. Did you know this? The Queen became indoctrinated as a oh, that's the wrong word. Inducted as a bard back in the 1950s. Weird stuff going on. And if you look at the vows she took and everything, that's very weird. Right, I want to talk about Ptolemy. Okay, on Vanished Cardiff. Check out this guy, Dick Mortimer's blog. Oh, there's so much more to go tonight. I'm really sorry. I'm going slow, wandering, diverting all over the place with random stuff. And I'm just not quite as... not as easy like it usually is, so I do apologise for that. this sinus thing, it'll be cleared. It only lasted a couple of days, that's all. Just bad luck, it's happened on a Sunday. So I couldn't sing today either. Alright, so everyone, are you going to play us out, Arnie B?
Yeah.
Please keep the flat earth stuff out of this.
There's a big thing going on and people complaining.
Oh, complaining about flat earth being mentioned?
No, I'm complaining about other people complaining about flat earth.
Oh, right, okay. Well, you've got to keep an open mind on these things. Martin Leaker does it all on his channel. This channel's not about flat earth stuff. I was just purely throwing it in there to show that you do have to do comparisons sometimes, just to make these things your own mind, okay? But there's mostly Wilson and Black in history. Say Martin Leaker has got like 40,000 followers. It's great shows. I've been on there twice, and you can see all about it on there, okay? So no people get upset. Okay, Arnie, what are you going to play us out with then? You feeling inspired? So, oh, this is a very nice piece. Right, so thank you all. Let's say goodnight to a few people. Thank you, Gary. Ooh, it's the sophist. Yeah, lots of deceptions going on. How could he possibly know, isn't it? Thank you, Monica. Oh, nice to know you're tuning in. All the way from Germany, yes. My brain's gone a bit dead. Yep, no ad hominems, please. That means attacking each other. Just discuss the issues, wherever they are, right? Because wherever you think, someone else is going to think you're bonkers for thinking it. That just goes for everything, okay? More pyramid stuff. Yes, there will definitely be more pyramid stuff. And I'll go through Wilson and Blackett's. This is a bit of Arnie a second. I like this bit. Very nice art. Hey, very good, Arnie. That's from last year, that is, as well, isn't it? We haven't done any concerts this year, have we? I was supposed to do a Christmas concert today, but obviously, feel like this. Couldn't really go off and do singing and stuff. But there we go. So I hope you enjoyed the show. More to come. Lots of little ones go up almost every day. So remember, notifications will tell you when they go up, or just keep looking every day because there'll be something from Lawrence and various other things. You're going to turn off, Arnie. Hit the 3. So it's from me, no star, everyone. Heather.
Until next time. Hello.